You're listening to the 206th edition of the Bitachon podcast, and we're now going to complete our study of this passuk in perek Yud Beis, chapter 112, passuk Zayin. Mishmur ra lo yira nachon libo b'tuch b'Hashem. And we've been trying to understand what does it mean that if a person has the proper bitachon, so there's no such thing as bad news in that person's life. We spoke about the different possibilities, that either it means that the person always trusts and believes that everything that happens to him is from Hashem, and therefore they're not knocked over by bad news. But the real pshat is that the person who's on the level of a Baal Bitachon, the highest level of Baal Bitachon, so he is absolutely sure that nothing bad happens to him. Nothing bad does happen to him. It's a promise. And there's just a few more small pieces here, so this might be a little shorter than usual, but I'd like to read it to you. The Ramban says in Emunah Bitachon in the first chapter, Nimtza ki amamin, yitachin sheyiro shema yigram achet. He talks about the difference between a maimin and a boteach. A maimin is someone who believes. I believe things are going to be good. Emunah. Emunah means I believe it. A boteach is someone who's confident. Batuach, he's absolutely sure, he's certain. So a person who's a maimin, a person who believes, so such a person can be afraid. If a person is in a state of belief, so then a person can be afraid that the sin can cause something bad to happen to him. But a person who is a boteach, someone who's confident, someone who has absolute confidence in Hashem, so there's no fear that the sin is going to cause something bad to happen. It's very interesting. We hear a lot of talk about Emunah. We hear a lot of svarim about Emunah. Bitachon is not the same thing, says the Ramban. Bitachon means confidence, absolute confidence. And when a person is in that state of confidence, nothing can knock him over. Nothing bad can happen to him. So the Navardiker state of Bitachon is different than Emunah. David, he brings our passuk, as King David says, the person, think about the description here. His heart is certain. Nachon means the word can mean correct, or can mean prepared. And think about it, both of those things are true. When a person has full confidence, so their heart is in the correct place. But a person also comes in prepared. When a person has bitachon, he's prepared for life. Such a person who is prepared, he's batuach, he's confident, he's not afraid of any negative news. So the Ramban understands this passuk to be talking about a promise. Pasuk acher, another passuk says in Tehillim, chapter 56, verse 5, it says, I trusted in Hashem, I wasn't afraid. Be'elikim, and I believe we talked about this passuk, pretty sure, that Elikim here is the midah of Hashem's judgment. A person can be in a place where they don't deserve things, or it seems like Hashem is bringing out His judgment, but He's not afraid. David Melech says, and David is the quintessential Baal Tshuva, right? He made a mistake with Bathsheba. He made other mistakes in his life. He wasn't a perfect person. But he still was always in a state of confidence with Hashem. He still was always sure. He still always felt completely that he could rely on Hashem. He wasn't afraid. So it's interesting. I always think about Al Tzadikim, that bracha that we say every single day, 3 times a day. Al Tzadikim, Al Chasidim. We talk about the righteous. Those are the ones who it would seem have bitachon. Mishanu mivtach latzadikim. Hashem is the one that the righteous lean upon and rely, or have full confidence. And I would say it's easier for a tzaddik to have full confidence because they know they're good with Hashem, so to speak. They know that their relationship with Hashem is complete. But the Ramban is telling us that you don't have to be a perfect tzaddik. You have to be a perfect Baal Bitachon in order to get that state, to be in that state of not being afraid of anything. Says the Radak, Mishmua. In regards to what we said, that from any negative reports, the person is not afraid. Hefech harasha. It's the opposite of a wicked person. The wicked person always has fears, always afraid. The sound of fears are always in his ears. Person might have his family members in a different place. He might be in a different country. Person might be American and have his kids learning in Eretz Yisrael, or vice versa, right? But he's not afraid. The Baal Bitachon is not fearful that there's going to be some negative reports. A shmua, right? What's a shmua? It means news that's heard. It means I'm not speaking directly to them. I'm hearing about it. Another pshat, says the Radak, is that if, let's say, a person knows that there are enemies coming, enemies are on the way, they're shooting missiles at us, they're rioting on the campus where one of my kids is studying. So the enemies are coming, not afraid. Because that person's heart, Baal Bitachon's heart, is set, confident. He knows Hashem's going to take care of him. But he also does not trust in his wealth or in his great strength and power, right? And let's be clear here. This is not saying that you can't have power and you can't have wealth. It's saying that don't just trust in those things, right? It's easy. A person has money to trust in the money. I'm going to be okay. Everything's going to be fine. It's easy for a person who has a powerful army to trust in the army. Don't trust in the many people who love you. And you have relatives, people who take care of you, people who are your friends. Says the Radak. The passuk is saying that David HaMelech teaches us that what did he do? He trusted only in Hashem. Hashem was the only one. He didn't depend on anything else. And he had everything else. He had wealth. He had great armies. He had friends. He had people who loved him. He didn't trust in any of that. He trusted only in Hashem. And that's why he wasn't afraid. Says the Ibn Ezra, Mishmua sheikalelis amaya medinasai. The Ibn Ezra says that you could hear bad news. We could hear things. There's rumors spreading about your nation or about your country. There could be things going on in your vicinity that the chances are it's quite likely that it's going to affect you. And still, even though you could be afraid, and you have every reason to be afraid, don't be afraid. Why? Place your trust on Hashem. Your heart should be batuach, your heart should be ready for every eventuality with the power of Bitachon. Metzudas David says, Eis yishma ba'olam shmua ra, lo yira mimenu. When there's bad news in the world, right? Bad news in the world, bad things going on, don't be afraid. Person's bitachon should help him to strengthen his feelings inside of himself that negative thing that's going on in the world is not going to touch me. It's not going to touch me. And it's a little challenging because we're used to reading the news and we're used to, here in Israel, we hear a siren, we have to run to the mamad, to the safe room. And so there's, the actions that we do affect our insides when you're running to the mamad. So it's easy to feel afraid. And we dispel that. We work on that. We say a kapitel Tehillim. We say some Psalms. We remind ourselves that Hashem is the one who's going to protect us. And He does. But that report, that news, that sound in the world, it can easily throw us off. So David is saying, strengthen your bitachon. Come back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Remind yourself Hashem is with you. And that bad thing is not going to touch you. Very interesting here he brings, is the last thing we're going to see here today together. He brings from the Hesped of the Chassam Sofer, on the Goyin Rabbi Nosson Adler. He tells us something in his hesped about this great tzaddik. Do you think, says the Chassam Sofer, that this great tzaddik, this great sage, maybe he died young, do you think that he didn't complete his time in this world? Do you think that he died because of a sin that he did? You should know that that's not the case about this particular Chashav Rav. He fulfilled to the T, to the highest extent, our passuk. He wasn't afraid of bad news. He wasn't afraid of what's going on around him. He was completely B'teach B'Hashem. What's the story? It was in the year 1774, and there was a great fire in this city called Papadam. And the houses in his vicinity, in the vicinity of his own home, of this Reb Nosson Adler, they were burned. All the homes around his home. He did not get up from learning. Seems he had a beis medrash in his own house. He continued to study. He continued to learn. He was in his talis and his tefillin, and he continued praying. He didn't allow his mind to become confused. The hand of Hashem did not come close to his house, didn't touch. The fire did not touch into his borders, into his section. So he had a tremendous bitachon. And says the Chassam Sofer, you have to understand that because he was such a great tzaddik, certainly when he passed away, it wasn't because of any sin, because he was completely connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He was completely protected by Hashem. And so, we all have this opportunity to do the same thing. We can look at and understand that Bitachon affords us an incredible opportunity, an incredible path in life. I don't have to be afraid. And I will say that from experience, sometimes there are things that naturally we would be afraid of. And sometimes it seems like in this moment, I don't know how I'm going to be saved. I don't know how I'm going to get the money that I need. I don't know how I'm going to succeed. I don't know how I'm going to get out of this predicament, whatever it might be. I don't know how that shidduch is going to come. But see, the thing is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu guides us. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has a plan for us. HaKadosh Baruch Hu brings us along this path. Here we are learning together, talking about Bitachon since 2019. That's when it started, the beginning of 2019. I started this Bitachon podcast, and we've been working on this together for over 6 years. And we've learned Svarim, we've learned Madregas Adam, we've learned Bitach B'Hashem, and we've been learning this sefer with the psukim from Reb Zundel. And as we go through this, and as we get a new dimension, a deeper dimension, another dimension, or we review something that we already know, and we reaffirm that which we know and try to incorporate it all the more, we're going on this path. Hashem is guiding us. You know, so many times I'll get a little email or a little comment on the video. Somebody heard something there that resonated for them, that they needed to hear that day. And that's HaKadosh Baruch Hu giving us a little kiss. That's HaKadosh Baruch Hu saying, I know you're looking for a relationship with me. I know you're trying to work on Bitachon. I know that we're in this together. I want you to know I'm with you. I'm next to you. We're studying this together, and I'm going to show you. There's guideposts that I'm going to show you along the way. You just have to keep your eyes open for them. So that's what we have for today. Thank you so much for listening. See you again next time.